And The Economist has a new cover story titled, "Donald Trump is unpopular. Why is it so hard to stand up to him?" Let's read a little bit from that piece now. Politically, the main task of opposition falls to the Democrats. They are, to put it kindly, confused. Should they fight Mr. Trump with all caps posts, as Gavin Newsom is doing? Is it all about mastering curated authenticity like Zohran Mamdani? Do they move left? Do they occupy the center? Is the problem merely one of messaging that can be fixed if only activists would stop calling women birthing people? The fact that Democrats can neither constrain Mr. Trump nor even communicate clearly leaves their base angry. Mr. Trump's ratings are low, but he is more popular than the Democratic Party. Not because Republicans and independents disapprove of it, though they do, but because Democrats disapprove of themselves. And Zane, let's dig into this a little bit more. We've seen since the day after the election, Democrats have largely been pointing fingers at each other, trying to figure out what's next. They've done better, I think it's fair to say, in standing up to Trump, but they have struggled in presenting any sort of vision of their own.
Yeah, they've completely struggled to do that. And I think that's because they really don't know where they need to go. I think there's some simple things. We put it in that editorial focus on prices, not pronouns. I think it's pretty clear that the American people, there are areas, the economy, areas like that where the Trump administration is vulnerable, and the Democrats need to move on that. But much more beyond that, I think they have, in Zohran Mamdani, they have someone who has figured out how to do the kind of political process. He's in campaigning terms, he's incredibly good. But what he stands for and what he's pushing is never going to win, and I don't think win them national office. And they don't have the centrist agenda, if you will. They haven't come around a way to kind of making that exciting. The abundance agenda, you know, Ezra Klein and all of that is a lot of very sensible policies, but it's hard to get people excited about that. So I think if you look historically, it takes a while, for parties after an election. And the reason it's really troubling this time is that all the other elements of constraining President Trump are also falling short. So that's why I think it's such a problem right now. But the Democrats are in trouble.
They are. And John Hellman, some polls out today, though, indicating the president is struggling on certain issues, inflation, the economy, even immigration to an extent.
That's right, Mika. You know, the president has been underwater on the economy almost from the day that he started his second term. Those numbers have gotten worse and worse for him on inflation, on trade and tariffs, on all those things that are related to the economy. What's been more interesting in recent months has been the fact that he's gone underwater on these other issues that have traditionally been his strength. The fact that he's now underwater on the question of immigration is surprising to a lot of people. It really coincides pretty much with the Los Angeles protests, when in June is when he slipped into net negative territory there, when he deployed troops to L.A., which has been very unpopular and has continued to be unpopular as we've seen it roll out in Washington, D.C., and as he talks about doing it more. But to Zandy's point, the reality is that as unpopular as the president is right now, Democratic Party is less popular, and that is a challenge for them. It raises the question, though, Zandy, which is the focus of what you guys wrote about this week, which is not just what's the problem with the Democratic Party, but if President Trump is underwater on all of these issues, including the issues that he's so strong on, why is it that people are, in the Economist's view, why is it that people within his party and elsewhere, why is it so hard to oppose him? Why do so many people feel the need to bend the knee?
So I think that's a really, really important and interesting question. It's the one that the history books are going to be really kind of questioning. Why on earth did his own party become essentially a sort of slavish support group for whatever the president said? The Republican Party believes in whatever the president wants to do at any particular point. I mean, the party of Lincoln, the party that used to believe in free markets, now seems to think it's fine for the government to take stake in companies. It has lost all moorings, I think, in favor of simply supporting him. And the other reason is that President Trump is brilliant at this. He is, and we've called it, he works like the TikTok algorithm. Yep. He moves so fast between issues that people can't keep up, and particularly the courts, which have thus far, I think, been the only institutions that he has to some degree respected, but they move slowly, right? Just now, what he did in LA has been declared illegal, but it's not stopping him from threatening to move into other cities. He is fantastic at that, and he's fantastic at security theater. He knows what is popular, and he knows how to push his opponents into positions that are unpopular.
Yeah.
You look at what's happened with, blowing up that suspected drug dealer boat. In many ways, that is going down a really dangerous route of unilaterally taking power and breaking rules. But I promise you, it's popular. And I've just been in Colombia. It is understandable to think that the drug dealers pose a threat to a country. And most ordinary Americans will kind of agree with that. And so at heart, you think, yeah, I get it. They're bad guys. But if you go down that road, it's a very, very dangerous road to go. And what President Trump is just superb at is shifting fast enough between issues, blanketing huge amounts of them, and he just outmaneuvers his opponents every single time.
Yeah, to that point, I mean, he doesn't just turn against GOP orthodoxy. He turns against his own previous positions. This is a person who came into office saying, like, I'm going to solve all wars, and now he's rechristened the Department of Defense to the Department of War, and he's, to your point, striking ships in the Caribbean with really no, or at least questionable, legal justification. So, Rev, President's moving fast. Democrats can't keep up. No one can. But they have to be able to chart their own course. You talk to leading Democrats each and every day, some of them seeking your counsel. It's a party that just still seems adrift. What kind of advice are you giving them to say, look, focus on X, Y, or Z?
I think that you said the right term, and that is they're adrift. They've got to decide what they're standing for, and come hell or high water, stand for it. I think what the American public is kind of smelling out of this is that the uncertainty and the real commitment of the Democratic Party and the leadership to say, this is where we stand, and let's fight it out, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a master at intimidation until somebody fights him back. I mean, I have fought with Donald Trump in New York for 30, 40 years. He does not like to take a punch, but he will kill somebody when they're not punching him. They're not punching him. He intimidates them. He's intimidated the Republicans. When you take him on, he respects you. He respects people. He respects Putin. He respects people that'll take him on. They've not taken him on. They're figuring out how you can somehow get him to work along rather than say, if you want to fight, let's fight. And I think that of what you're saying, Zanny, and what is being said by the economists is identifying that. When you have somebody like a Zoran that say, I believe in this, may be unpopular to you, maybe something you don't want, but this is where I stand. People rally around things, even if they're not all the way there, because at least they feel you're certain.
Reverend, I think that's right. And I think that some people are intimidated, but I also think it's that the Democratic Party doesn't know what it wants, doesn't know what it stands for, doesn't know. And there are plenty of people who still buy the cultural, I will call it, simplify it, the culture war agenda, the pronoun agenda, the transgender. That is not where the American people are. And until people within the party realize that they have to focus, they have to understand that President Trump is brilliant at identifying the issues that the American people care about, and they have to come up with a better answer. But history tells you this takes a while. Right, in the 1980s, I mean, I wasn't here then, but from my reading, it took, after the walloping that the Democrats took, it took years for the party to reinvent itself. And so we should not, this is not going to happen, right, in the next month or two.
Right.
And so America is going to have to deal with constraining Donald Trump. Right now, I think history will sort of look at the Republicans more than the Democrats and will say that these guys, if they did not stand up to wannabe autocratic behavior, then shame on them. That's where I think the responsibility right now is for the future.
Especially to the detriment and the health of their own people.
Yeah.